welcome to Spellbound Homestead. My name is Taylor. This is where Laura Ingalls meets Morticia Adams, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today in this video, we're just going to have a little cozy book chat. I'm going to be talking to you about some of the books I plan on reading this winter and some of the books on my TBR list, and just having a little chat about books. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and grab your cup of coffee, tea, or beverage of choice, and let's chat about it. Winter time for me is the perfect time to curl up with a good book and start doing some heavy reading. And so last year I had made the goal to read 100 books, which I met. This year my goal, as far as reading goals is to simply just read what I enjoy. And so with that being said, there's a lot of books that were on my list last year that I did not get to just because they were long, and because I had set a numbers goal last year. I was trying to read books that were around 350 pages or less, and so this year I have totally thrown that out the window, and we're just going to be reading books that I simply want to read. Being said, there's a lot of books that I have not got to that have been very popular, like on BookTube and Book Talk, and I'm very behind in that realm of books. And so this time around, I just want to kind of see what all the fuss is about and see what is being recommended and, out there in the book universe. And I want to kind of dive into some of those books. So the first book that is on my list for this winter is Fourth Wing, and I am about 60% done with this book. I knew that it was about dragons. I knew that everybody was, raving about it last year, and that everybody was talking about it, and I hadn't gotten around to reading it. And I'm surprisingly enjoying it more than I thought I would. I'm very much one of those people. I love fantasy, and I love magical realism, and I love reading books with those sorts of elements in it. I knew that it was a book about dragons, and so I kind of went in there with just a little bit of information about what it was about. I'm enjoying it, and I'm actually more entertained by it than I initially thought I was going to be. So to complete the Fourth Wing book, I want to go into the second book, which is Iron Flame, and then Onyx Storm is coming out in the end of January, end of this month. And so I would like to try to catch up and get ready for the third book whenever it is being released, but we shall see. I'm one of those people, I read multiple books at the same time. I have several books on rotation just because I like to read by my mood. And so sometimes, whenever I'm reading longer books, I need something a little light and a little fluffier of a read, which is going to bring me to my next book, which is Evergreen Chase by Juno Black. A short story that follows a Shady Hollow series, which I think is just so cute and whimsical. I've talked about it before. Whenever it's a town called Shady Hollows, we have Vera Vixen, who is a fox. All these characters are woodland creatures, and they talk, have jobs, living their best life. And so this is a holiday short story that goes in between the series. You don't necessarily have to have read the series in order to read this one, and so I'm excited to give this one a try and just have a little bit of a light, fluffier read in between some of my heavier, longer books. The one I'm currently reading is called Once Upon a Wardrobe. So this is historical fiction. This is about a young woman who is in college at Oxford during the time that C.S. Lewis is teaching there. Her brother is very ill, and he is reading the Narnia series, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe in particular. He loves this book, and he's not doing very well, and he's most likely going to pass away soon. He's very young. I believe he's around 9 or 10-ish, maybe, somewhere in that realm. And he asked his sister to find out from C.S. Lewis, is Narnia real? And so she goes and has a conversation with him, and the whole story is her trying to find out for her brother, where does Narnia come from? Is it real? And it's just a really fun, wintry historical fiction book. I don't typically read a lot of historical fiction, but I really do love The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I love C.S. Lewis. His personal life is very interesting to me. I've been reading some biographies about him and watching some documentaries and videos about him. He's a very interesting man. I highly suggest that you go and maybe do a little read up on him. Just find him to be a very interesting man to learn about, not necessarily because of his religious perspectives and points of view and thoughts and theologies on that, although that is interesting. I just find him fascinating because, of his life and how he was raised and kind of the events that led up to the writing of Narnia. So this is a really fun spin on that. And of course, if you haven't already, Narnia is such a magical, wonderful children's literature book series. I highly recommend it if you've never read it before. I think it's very special even as an adult to read now. One on my list for this winter is to start the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. My family and friends have raved about this series, about how much they loved it, how much it has made such an impact on them as readers and as people. And between Fourth Wing and this one, I feel like these two series have really just been all over BookTube and Book Talk and things like that. And I want to see what's about. Is it good? Is it worth the hype? And I'm really excited to kind of enter my fantasy era, so to speak. I've been reading a lot more fantasy books. I think they're fun. They're great to read. And so I'm really excited to give this series a try. I have been told by friends that the further along the series gets, you know, the more books into the series, the better the series gets. And I've been told that the second book is really where things start picking up and liven up. So I'm hoping that the first one is going to keep me intrigued enough to want to continue the series. We'll mention of a book that I'm going to try to squeeze in there. It's called Winter Spirits. This is a collection of short stories. The cover is very intriguing, and so I would like to try to give this one a whirl, especially whenever I'm trying to find a break and have some lighter reading while I'm trying to finish up some series or work on beginning a series. And so we're going to throw that in the mix as well. I'd like to leave any book recommendations down in the comments below. Please feel free to do so. I love chatting with you about books. You guys always have the best recommendations. So it can be winter themed. It can just really be anything. Just share with me what you're currently reading, you know, a book that you want to read or like a highly anticipated read. Let's just talk about books. Thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe on your way out. And as always, I hope you have a magical day.